There is this report now, and actually more report, not only just the one that I will be sharing with you, but there are multiple reports that are claiming, according to them, these drones, several of them are actually from Russia. There is this speculation. A lot of people say, oh, how you know this is a Russian drone? I'm not saying this. This is coming from several sources, including VOA, Voice of American News article. So basically, this is what they said. British and American authorities are investigating after several drones were spotted in recent days flying over 4 U.S. military bases in England. Britain has deployed dozens of troops around the bases amid concerns the overflights could be acts of deception or sabotage by an adversary such as Russia. So you see the name here, Russia. So again, I'm not saying this is coming on the news. So don't hold me accountable. Oh, you know, these are Russian drones. I'm not saying anything. But this is what is happening right now. The Pentagon officials or US officials, whichever you want to call it, they are getting grilled over this. They're not coming with any answer, clear answer as to what really happened. All they are saying, we are investigating. Take a listen at this press conference.
General Ryder, there have been a number of incidents in England with drones targeting U.S. bases, kind of swarming U.S. bases, challenging security. Do you believe they have hostile intent? Do you believe they were sent by a foreign adversary? What is happening with, what can you tell us about these drones?
What I would tell you, Jennifer, is that they are being actively monitored. Installation leaders have determined so far that none of these incursions impact the base residents, the facilities, or the assets that we have on those bases. We're, of course, continuing to work with host nation authorities and our mission partners to ensure the safety of our personnel, our facilities, and the equipment. You know, the bottom line is it's something that we're going to take seriously. We're continuing to look into it, but as of right now has not had any significant mission impact.
Why not shoot them down?
Well, I won't get into force protection measures. We, of course, always maintain the right to defend ourselves if we deem something to be a threat. But again, we'll continue to work with the local host nation authorities there.
Honestly, do you think it's linked to the drones that were sighted at 3 or 4 different locations back in December of last year that we reported on recently on the state side?
Yeah, I don't want to speculate and draw unnecessary connections. You know, again, this is something that we'll look into. As you know, small UASs, drones, have become something that's, you know, relatively common now across the landscape. It's something that the department has been looking closely at in terms of how it applies to our facilities, our personnel, whether it's in combat zones or outside of combat zones. But in terms of these particular incidents in the UK versus the ones in the States, you know, again, I don't want to speculate that there's any connection.
They don't appear to be those of hobbyists. Is that correct?
Again, it would be, you know, premature to draw any conclusions. We've got to see what these are. I mean, it's entirely possible that it could be hobbyists or something else. We just got to look into it. So,
okay, so this incident is significant, though, whether it is by the hobbyist who flew the drone or Russia or China, doesn't matter. But this sighting of drones, significant. Why? Because there are several of them, and therefore they really need to find out what is happening. But they are hiding from us exactly what went on.
Say on the record yet what the intent of any of these drones were? Is it to collect data or signals? Are they conducting surveillance?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to drone on here, but the bottom line is, again, still assessing what these are, and, you know, just don't have anything further to pass along. I'd refer to U.S. Air Forces in Europe, which I'm sure you're in contact with, just to keep in touch on the latest on that.
And can you share anything yet about how you guys are detecting or countering them?
Again, I don't want to get into the specifics in terms of tactics, techniques, and procedures as it relates to force protection. Certainly, we have a variety of means at our disposal, and we will protect our personnel and our facilities. But, you know, again, just to kind of put this into context, you know, even here in the United States, right, if there are drones that are being flown by hobbyists or some other entity, you want to make sure that you're doing due diligence not only to protect yourself and the safety of others, but also using appropriate measures in order to not inadvertently create second and third order effects. In other words, potentially harming the civilian communities in which we operate in and around. So again, right now the assessment is that these drones have had no operational impact or safety impact on our personnel at any of these facilities. We're keeping a close eye on them. We're of course communicating very regularly with the UK host nation authorities, and we'll take appropriate measures again to protect our personnel and our people. Sure.
Okay, guys. So another thing that I also want to make mention of, which is that in the year of 2023, if you don't remember, U.S. they have sighted Chinese balloon over western United States. I believe that's where the location was. Regardless, they have those spy drone cameras a lot of the time flying overhead. This time, though, it is not United States, it's UK. And it is coming at a time when he emphasized when it comes to Russian attack strike, UK is one of the main priorities for them. Why? Because of Storm Shadow missile they have used to attack Russia through Ukraine. We are not ruling out anything. I mean, even though this Pat Ryder, the spokesperson for Pentagon, is saying no, we do not know nothing. Most likely this could be, just a flying object, this and that. They're coming up with a lot of excuses. But there is a possibility that this will be written off as something not so significant. But we know it is significant. And the Western media and Western government, they have this habit of not telling the whole truth, especially when it comes to warfare with Russia. Why they do it? Well, it is because then they will face economic consequences when the country and the citizen were working, going about their daily work, business, and they hear that Russian drone is flying over them, or Chinese drone, or a drone from an adversary is flying over them. They might panic, and US, they don't want that kind of chaos or panic for US citizens, because otherwise the economy will suffer. People will not, you never know how people will react. They might start even protesting and revolting, who knows. So they want to keep this whole situation under control, and they know they can do it. US, they have the ability to contain the situation and to establish their own narrative around this whole incident. But there is more to it than what we are being told by Pentagon officials. Take a listen, because these journalists or reporters, they're grilling him. They are questioning him over and over again, trying to get something out of him, other than saying this is just under investigation. I have never seen reporters asking the same question so many times. Take a look at the next one. He's also asking the same question. Tell us more. You're not speaking the truth. Tell me more.
Have there been any drone incidents domestically since October?
That's a hard question to answer, Jen, because, I mean, the reality is on any given day, Pat Ryder, hobbyist drone pilot, can fly my drone next to a base and it's in and it's out. And is that a drone incident, or are we talking about something more serious, where like the Langley incident, where there's multiple drones operating over a facility for multiple days? So, again, I don't have any statistics in front of me, but just the reality is that these small aircraft are now ubiquitous across the United States and the world. I have a very close relative of mine who's a drone pilot, and he flies his drone all over and does amateur photography, and what if that drone gets blown or carried by the wind too close to a facility, or, they don't understand the FAA rules, et cetera, et cetera. So this is something that the department, the FAA, and others are looking at in this modern era of small aircraft. How do we make sure that we're responsibly protecting our assets while at the same time not assuming every single aircraft is going to be a threat? So thank you, Charlie.
Welcome back. I hate to go on about it too. However,
please do drone on.
One more question, same question.
This is the third time in 2 weeks They appear to be coordinated, persistent operations, not the work of a hobbyist. There are reports out of Britain that 60 military personnel have been deployed, 60 British personnel have been deployed. Does this come down to the MOD? Is it down to the Home Office? I mean, there are other ways of taking down drones without shooting them down.
Yeah, and you're right. And again, I won't speak for the MOD. And as I highlighted, of course, the U.S. Military are guests in England, in the United Kingdom, at the invitation of the government of the United Kingdom. So certainly working very closely with the authorities there. We are taking it seriously. We're monitoring, taking appropriate measures. Again, I'm not going to get into the specific TTPs in terms of when and if we feel that we need to take something down. At this point, the assessment is that these do not pose any type of effect on our operations or safety of our personnel. So I don't have an answer. I'd have to refer you to USAFE, but I mean, it's not uncommon if we have small teams that go around the world that are specialists in various capabilities. So I don't have an answer to that question. But I mean, you've got RAF Mildenhall, RAF Lakenheath, RAF Feltwell. All those bases are in close proximity. I mean, literally minutes away from each other. So, again, we'll continue to keep an eye on it. But as of right now, I would just, caution jumping to conclusions about what this is and who's doing it. And we'll just, continue to keep you updated.
Okay, so another thing very, very bizarre, which is that when reporters reached out to Russian embassy in London, do you know what Russian embassy said? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Makes it very, very strange, because normally they would deny it or acknowledge it that, yeah, it was a Russian drone or something to those lines, but this time they have absolutely nothing to say, because right now we know people are suspecting it is Russian who have flown these drones, and Russia knows that they are under scrutiny and over this by the US military and also UK military and by the media, by the reporters. But nevertheless, Russia decided, you know what, we're not going to talk. So what does it mean you're not going to talk? Does it mean that you have done it? Or does it mean that you're being accused of something that you haven't done it? We don't know why they're keeping it quiet, but something very, very strange. I will give you more updates over this drone incident in Europe, in the UK, and all the updates, what is happening between Russia, Ukraine, and the war, the World War III that we talk about. Thank you so much for joining this session.